Hello and good day or good evening. I'm Dr. Mandell, and today's topic is going to be all about omega-3s. I want to say hello to everyone out there. Hopefully you will really enjoy this program. I thought that this program was going to be a little simpler to put together, but the more depth that I got into, I really need to share this important information. This really can make all the difference between good health and bad. So I want to go into the aspect about omega-3s. You can see my videos on omega-3 on my channel, although this is going to be a little more precise about the best time to take your omega-3s. Because of the fact I'm going to share with you from my own knowledge, I'm going to prove, hopefully, to explain why the best time to take omega-3s in preventing heart attacks and strokes. This is a very big topic. Omega-3s are probably the most important fatty acids that we can take in our body. Omega-3s have tremendous benefits. The heart, cell membranes, the brain, for cholesterol, to lowering blood pressure, to triglycerides, and the list goes on and on and on. Remember that omega-3s plays a role in so many different important vital parts within our body. So let's go ahead and first start out, because we had an issue with the American Heart Association talking about coconut oil that came in the past, and the channel has been going crazy, people responding to that video. But let's talk about what's posted on the American Heart Association's page. And they talk about the fish that obviously is a good source of protein. And unlike fatty meat products, it's not high in saturated fat. And fish is also a good source, probably the best source of omega-3 fatty acids. Now, they mention that they have shown that omega-3 fatty acids decreases the risk of arrhythmias, which is fluttering of the heart. It leads to sudden death, obviously, if it's not corrected. They also state that it decreases triglyceride levels. It helps slow down and prevent atherosclerosis, plaquing in the arteries. It lowers blood pressure. It decreases cholesterol. So we're good on that. And that's the first thing I wanted to start out talking about. Let's go back, as we say, from the American Heart Association. This is what they say. They actually mention each serving of 3.5 ounces cooked, they say a couple times a day, is a great way to get omega-3s, but most people do not get enough omega-3s. So that's the first thing I wanted to start out in the program. Now, I want to mention a few important things about omega-3s, because there are so many different comments and opinions and research are saying it doesn't matter when you take it. But I'm going to prove to you, to try to explain in words that we can relate to in our own lives, why it's better to take it at certain times than other times. First of all, I want to go into basically a little bit about the benefits of these fish oils. As we say, brain development, hormones, cholesterol, hair, thyroid, regulates metabolism, healthy cell membranes. Omega-3 is known to reduce inflammation, major anti-inflammatory, natural, better than NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, rheumatoid arthritis, arthritic pain, inflammation, asthma, Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, cardiovascular, and the list goes on and on and on. So we know it reduces inflammation. Now, I also want to state, if you read in the subheading of my page here on this video, it says most heart attacks hit during the early morning hours between 4 to 10 a.m. when blood platelets are stickier, and increased adrenaline released from the adrenal glands can trigger rupture of plaques in coronary arteries. So we know already that it's proven that most heart attacks occur in the early morning hours between 4 and 10, more commonly seen about 6:30 a.m. Those are the facts. Now, the next thing I want to bring out is that we know by science that the stickier the platelets get, the more clogged, stickier it gets, the harder for the blood to flow through a vessel. If it's going to your brain, it's called a stroke. If it's going to the heart, through the coronary arteries to the heart, it's called a heart attack. So we already know that when you have stickier platelets, you're more prone to have clots. Clots are more prone to have a lack of blood supply to an organ, which is the heart or the brain. Now, the first thing and the most important thing I want you to understand is that omega-3s prevent blood clotting. In other words, that platelet formation, it inhibits the platelet formation to become stickier. It limits the stickiness within the blood vessels. So in other words, the purpose of omega-3 is to prevent that stickiness. Okay, we're all on the same wavelength now. In other words, if something is starting to clot, the purpose of those omega-3 fatty acids is to prevent that stickiness from occurring, to limit it, to prevent you to have heart attacks or strokes. So I wanted to be on the same wavelength. Now we realize that omega-3s, the healthiest are our fatty fishes, our tunas, our anchovies, our bluefish, our herring, our mackerel, our mussels, wild salmon, sardines. But the problem is a lot of us don't eat fish, and a lot of us don't get enough fatty omega-3 fatty acids. Now, when you look at the omega-3 and it says fish oil, the fish oil, if it says 1,000 milligrams of fish oil, where it's one capsule, you must look at the DHA and EPA in the back. The DHA and the EPA are the omega-3 fatty acids. You may only have 300 of DHA and 200 of EPA. That means you're only getting 500 milligrams of omega-3. You're not getting 1,000 like it says 1,000 milligrams or 1 gram of fish oil. It's the EPA and the DHA you must add up. Okay, yes, and it does help the eyes, by the way, tremendously. We're talking omega-3. Thank you, chatters. So you must know how much you're getting in. Now, there is no exact data that says how much omega-3 you should have, although I will say that most organizations say about 400 to 500 milligrams a day. I think you need much, much more. I'm going to recommend, in my opinion, at least a gram and a half, which is 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams, depending upon what your condition is. Sometimes you need more. Although, if you're taking lots of omega-3 and you are taking blood thinners, you must speak to your doctor because omega-3 will thin the blood. So let's go back to the heart attack and the stroke. So if it thins the blood, that means there's less stickiness, less clotting, less platelet aggregation, and obviously the blood vessels are going to be happier. So are the organs, because you're not going to have that stickiness. So depending upon your condition will be dependent upon how much you should be taking. Although, if you are taking lots of oils and eating lots of grains and getting a lot of omega-6s and omega-3s compete together. And what happens is you start having too much omega-6s to omega-3s, and your ratio goes higher and higher and higher, and that means inflammation. The more inflammation you have, the more damage, the more platelets, the more problems that start to occur as cholesterol starts to get to the area, starts to stick on the area, but the more plaquing you get because the more platelet aggregation and the stickier it happens. So you need to make sure that if you are having lots of omega-6s, and you can look on Google all about the omega-6 foods, and if you are way up here in omega-6s and way down here in omega-3s, you're either going to diminish the omega-6s or start increasing your omega-3s. Okay, I like to see like a 2-to-1 ratio. People are 20-to-1, but people, if you get 4-to-1, 3-to-1, 2-to-1, the closer you get to that ratio, the healthier that you are going to be. Remember, omega-6s, high omega-6s, it has a very high inflammatory content within your body, the way it reacts, and it can cause lots of problems in your blood vessels. So we are clear on there. All right, so the next question that comes up, timing. Understand, I don't want to jump the gun because I'm trying to move quick here. Let me just go into something. Let me just find it because I had something I wanted to put out. Now, there are many different ways of getting omega-3s. You can get it through krill oil. You can get it through your your ALAs, you get it through, chia seeds, flaxseed oils, but those those have to be converted into DHA and EPA. Your fish oils are already the EPA and the DHA. So that's the importance of it, because when you convert it into it from the chia or from the flax, you are not getting near as amount as you think you are getting. So the very important thing is that when you take these oils, make sure you try to take it with food that has fat in it. Okay, what happens is this, is that the fat you consume in a meal stimulates the pancreatic lipase enzymes. And these cause the dietary fat to be broken down in the digestive system. And the more of these enzymes that are present when you take these fish oil supplements, the more omega-3s will be broken down and absorbed into the intestines. So if you're taking omega-3s, number one, on an empty stomach, no good. You're not getting it all absorbed. It's important, and studies show that when you have fat, because the omega-3s are fatty oils, and when you have this pancreatic lipase enzymes already in there digesting fat, you're going to get better assimilation. So that's a big, big tip. Okay? So that's very important. The other thing I wanted to mention here is this. The question is, should I take, well, I don't want to go into that. I don't want to get off the topic here. Now, a lot of people who take fish oils will notice that repeats on them. But if you're taking it correctly, you're taking it with food, and you're taking a good quality fish oil, it should not repeat on you. So if it is repeating, to me, it is not the best fish oil, and I recommend to find a company where it's not going to actually feel like it's rancid. That's number one. The other thing, there are studies that show that if you take the fish oil and you freeze it, okay, in the capsules, and you take them with food, it dissolves slower in the system, and you'll never be burping up that fishy scent. That is something I never knew, and I thought that is a great little tip for you, and I wanted to share that with you. So regarding how much omega-3 you should be taking, that will be depending upon your particular condition. Each condition, like heart health, diabetes, depression, cancer, and other conditions, all take different amounts, and I'm not going to go into that there. I also wanted to mention that if you just tuned in, if you are taking a lot of omega-6s, you must increase your dose of omega-3. It is extremely important, because that is all about inflammation. The best time to take this, and I'm going to go into this in just a second, but the best time is at night. What happens is, at nighttime, our cortisol levels are lowest. And when our cortisol levels, which is our stress hormone, okay, let's reverse it, that our cortisol levels are highest in the morning. So what happens is, when we take fish oils in the morning, fish oils reduces cortisol level. People don't know that. Fish oil reduces cortisol levels. So if your cortisol level drops in the morning, you are not having that pep, you are not having that energy, you are not having that wind to get up and do what you have to do, and you're dropping that cortisol level, which can make you feel tired and fatigued. Now, if you take fish oil at night, there's a couple important things I want you to realize. When you take it at night, realize that fish oil stays in your system about 8 hours or so, according to the potency, the strength of what you're taking at that time. So if you realize that this is an anti-inflammatory type of thing, and most heart attacks happen early in the morning, and because fish oil is absorbed in your body over several hours, most potent about 8 hours from when you first took it, and when you rise in the morning, obviously you are going to have less stickier plaque, you're going to have lower blood pressure, you're going to have less problems that go on in the vessels and the arteries. Now, the way I can prove this to you is that people who take other medications, and maybe beta blockers, people who take acid blockers, there are studies that show people who take acid blockers later at night, because the highest amount of acid starts to rise at the nighttime when you're sleeping during those morning hours, and there's like a 70-something% chance of less acid problems as if you took it early in the morning. Now, I don't want to compare proton pump inhibitors and acid blockers as what we're talking about omega-3s. But from statistics and from looking at how often and when heart attacks happen and when strokes happen, more commonly in heart attacks early in the morning, what are we doing? We are limiting the platelet aggregation by taking it at night. Now, another question that comes up is, how can I take all of this fish oil at night? You can't. So if you're taking a certain amount of fish oil, let's say you're shooting for 1.5 grams, 1,500 milligrams, or 2 grams or 2,000 milligrams, you may want to still take a portion in the morning with something that has fat in it in food. It could be avocado, it could be peanuts, it could be oils. Not enough to be the bad fat, it could be the unsaturated fats, which is good because that lipase rises the enzyme, which is you're going to have better digestion. It's going to assimilate more into the intestine. But I would also split it up at night. Why not? If this stays in your system and it's proven that these types of conditions happen early in the morning, it only makes sense to take it at night. Now, when you take this, as I said, it lowers cortisol levels. So if it lowers cortisol level, that means it's going to help you sleep better. Because when your cortisol levels are high, guess what? That's a stress hormone. That means increased blood pressure. That means increased heart rate. That means when you increase the blood pressure, you increase the heart rate, you increase the potential of having a stroke or a heart attack. Because high blood pressure or a high pressure within your cardiovascular system is potentially going to lead to a potential problem. So if we can lower blood pressure, prevent clotting, it's a win-win situation. Let me touch on this particular topic here before we make way. I don't want to leave anything out. We talked about the acidity thing, which is, I'm reading the research here. They mentioned they've had studies where people have actually reduced a significant amount of blood pressure by taking omega-3s. There's no question in the world. The American Heart Association even states it reduces blood pressure. It's there. It happens. It's a fascinating thing. Not only for that, but for pain. So if you have arthritic pain, you have degenerative joint disease, you have herniated disc, you have rheumatoid arthritis or any type of arthritic condition, guess what? These omega-3s work better than NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So therefore, what you're doing is those drugs, or say we're that natural drug, okay, that omega-3 is preventing inflammation. You're going to get up in the morning and you're going to feel looser. You're going to have less pain. The biggest symptom of chronic arthritis is stiffness and tightness and aching in the morning. I guarantee you that many of you, many hundreds of thousands of you worldwide, are going to see a big change if you wake up with pain. You start taking omega-3s before bed, particularly with the meal or particularly with fats. You will see less stiffness, less achiness, and less inflammation. There's no question in the world. Okay? I really wanted to share that. You will actually see you will have better sleep. Hopefully, they actually state lowered sleep apnea. So if you have apnea, believe it or not, studies show that you have a better quality of sleep. You need sleep to keep your pressure down. You need sleep to keep cortisol down. You need sleep to keep adrenaline, epinephrine down. If you're wound up and you're not getting rest, everything goes haywire. You get more stress, more complications, and more problems. I really hope that this sent a good message out. Let me tell you something. I learned plenty about these recent studies. They've been out. No one's really put it together. I'm still a believer that, this is something that can really prevent heart attacks, slow down these types of deaths, because a lot of heart attacks are fatal. There's no second chance. But omega-3s are fascinating. But I want to state, please, if you are taking medications like blood thinners or any specific kind of medications, always speak to your doctor. I don't want to recommend and tell people exactly what to do because everyone has different health ailments. But for chronic arthritic, chronic inflammation, and you may notice that your cholesterol levels or triglyceride levels are higher, or your total cholesterol is off, or it's not really in balance. As you lower these through omega-3s, it's proven it's going to lower your blood pressure. Hopefully you'll be able to get off or slow down the medication that you're on or limit the medication you're on. So this is really a blessing in disguise. I really hope that this really made a lot of sense. And leave your questions below here. Also, you can check out my fan page, Motivational Doc, on Facebook. You can leave questions there too. But I ask you to share these videos. You can go to my channel, hundreds of videos, many great self-help videos. We've been really pushing lots of nutrition. And besides the self-help videos that I have, which are hundreds on there, we've got a lot of great stuff. So if you are just tuning in, check out my channel. I really think it will help you tremendously. I ask you to subscribe. Why? Because we're doing so much live streaming today, and get the state of the art, get up with what's happening in good health. I got a lot of chatters out there today. I want to thank all of you for being here. Many of my chatters from worldwide, all the way out from Southeast Asia to Africa to Europe, from all over the world. I really appreciate you being here with me. It means a lot to me. You're the people that motivate me to come back and do more. This is really inspiring for me. This is nothing that I'm trying to take from anyone. I'm just trying to give my love to all the people out there to keep you healthy, to keep your lives healthier, and to enjoy your families with a good life. I wish you lots of blessings. Keep up the great work. Stay proactive, and may God bless everyone. Bye-bye now.